Hello. Hello and welcome. I'm trying to modulate my voice because I've noticed it's got very screechy and loud in the last couple of days. I, unfortunately, have messed up again. I was trying to get the internet to work. I did have an alternative place to go and do this, and I had a guest all lined up, but I was like, oh, no alternative place. I can do it here. It's all going to be fine. And then it wasn't fine. I had to get rid of all the cache. You know, the whole turning it on and off again. Well, not only had to do that, I had to get rid of all evidence that I ever existed on the internet. I don't know why it was stopping me, but it clearly was. And I also contacted the guest and went, no, you don't need it. I'll interview you and upload you. And I've got an upload for tomorrow. I interviewed Walter de Forest, who's doing the Vincent van Gogh show, which I could have put up today, but I can't make that work either. So it's just me, just little old me today to tell you all the Edinburgh woes. And maybe my guest, I have messaged them again, maybe they will be in the studio and tell me about their show, tell you about the show. And maybe not, maybe it'll just be me. But this is the alternative. Look, all my contact lens thing. And also, I had a lovely ring light to make this not so dim and weird. I'm just using the lights in this place. See, changes the overhead lights. And I've got this. But I had a ring light and I had it in my bag. And I do remember taking it out of my bag and going, oh, I don't need that. I need my tripod, and get my tripod out. And I must have left the ring light somewhere. Who knows where or when? It's just not there now. So now I can't get the good lighting. I've just about got the internet. That's something. I do not have the guests, but I have told the guests that if they are available, then they can come here and talk to me. And if not, then we'll just carry on. I've got one lovely viewer. Hello, you is all. I'm glad that is the case, because this is all that you might get. You and I is all we need. Well, yes, that more people would be good, really. But thank you for the support, Joe, and it's all good. Yeah, so hopefully other people will arrive here. It's been an interesting Edinburgh. See, I'm just changing the light just by changing that. It's held together by sticky tape and glue. Talking of which, I think I also had some blue tack done. See, I had some flyers. Do you want to see my flyers? I've actually got some flyers, and I was blue tacking them up, and now I don't know where my blue tack is. So I'm still here, out of shots. I'll come back, ready or not. And here I am, and so am I. That's the Scottish falsetto sock puppet, which goes with the whole high-pitched squeaky voice that I've got going here. And have I even got my flyers? Oh, I don't even know what's happening anymore. I definitely do have flyers because I put them in the wee blue book. So I was expecting a 6, which is postcard size. But I wasn't concentrating, and I was in a hurry, and my venue, the fire door on my venue had got an inspection, because you have to get an inspection to do shows in Edinburgh. And we were the last people on the list for the fire marshal, and they came to see just before my show. Just the show before, that was a fill-in show, had an audience full of people, and the fire marshal was like, no, that fire door's not right, no handle. You can stay there. As long as somebody stays there and lets people in and out, it'll be good. So I was like, oh, I'll stay there. I'll do that, and I'll let people know. And while I was there, I realised that the fire door wouldn't open. I just said, oh, I can't open it. How do you open it? And then the guy came, and then we looked at it, and actually it had come off its hinges. It had like big nails coming out. You couldn't open it and you couldn't shut it. So they had to fix that. So they had to let all the people go from the show before. Tori Shine, who's got Don't Stop Believing, which is also at slow progress. Now, that's fortunate, because she could tell all the audience to come and see her other show at slow progress and other places. So they might have done that, but it was unfortunate. But then my show, I thought, well, nobody's going to come to my show. It's all good. I'll just wait here and let people know, and I'll let everybody in the show. So they were fixing the door straight away, but it was while my show would have been going on. And then the fire marshal had to come back and check on it and everything. So while I was waiting, I thought nobody's come, because I hadn't actually picked up the flyers yet. Nobody's going to come to see my show. That's another show next week. Nobody's going to come. But they had, in fact, some people had come, and they'd circled my show in this book where it is, even though I didn't have flyers yet. And they were like, "We come to support you." And I had to turn them away. So then it all got fixed by the time my show was over, and the next show went ahead, and everything was good for everybody else except for me and poor Tori. So go and see Tori's show, come and see mine. And these are my flyers now. And I eventually went and picked these up, and because I was in such a state, I've got no excuse, because this hadn't actually happened when I ordered the flyers. I realized this. I just wasn't listening. So I ordered the flyers and some posters, and I got a deal with 500 of these double-sided and 25 of each poster. So 25 of those and 25 of these. And then I went back, and they weren't postcard size at all. They were bigger than I've ever had. So that's all right. So then now I can give you a free flag. And people are quite interested in this one. Now, I designed this bit at the last minute. I was like, is that even going to be big enough and good enough? But apparently the printer said, yeah, it's all right. And there's a link to the PBH there. And then over here it says Elise's website, a tiny one. So you know where you are. You've got all the information. So QR codes are good. But what I've noticed is other people's are supposed to have this, and they're supposed to have this. And they can have something else as well. But they have to have this and this so that people know it's PBH, and that so people can go and see all the other shows, because you've got this so that you can look at the shows, or you can also go on the website or the app. So that's very important, but lots of people have forgotten to put this, and some people have forgotten to put this. So no logo, or the wrong logo, and they haven't got that. Now that's fine. Somebody had Insane Clown Posse instead of this. A Wikipedia page for the Insane Clown Posse, which they weren't Insane Clown Posse, so it wasn't even a justification. It's just, look what we've done. We've put the wrong QR code. What wags we are. It's like, well, please get this one and put this one on too. Please. And definitely get this. But one show, somebody told me, has put entirely the wrong organisation's logo. They're not doing a show for the other organisation. And if they were, they couldn't have done one for this, but they put the other organisation that they're not supposed to be doing anything for instead of ours. People don't listen. People don't look. So rant over. It's all good. Now, I don't think that I'm going to see probably the guest that I had, and I am no shame, no shaming for this. I'm understanding, because I said stand down. They're probably on with their daily business and doing stuff for their show. So no blame there. It's just me for this 20 minutes, half an hour, however long you can stand me, and however long I can stand myself, which isn't very, very long really. But I am trying not to be too screechy. But I am just naturally a screechy. I've got quite a wide range, because I can go low. I can go lower than that. That's the beginning of it went a bit wrong at the end. It's like, so I am Rhapsody in Blue personified. La 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 la. Beep 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 beep. Yeah. Rhapsody in Blue. I can go even higher than that, probably even lower than that. I'm a one-person instrument. All the things. I am everything. Not just every woman, everything. Everything in the world. But it's essentially, so are you, Joe, and so are everyone else. That's not Joe, and that's not me. Everybody is everything, really, when you think about it, because the whole universe, this whole thing about that before the Big Bang, everything was tiny. There's a big crunch, and everything was all in the same place. And also, no matter how far pairs of atoms, I think, are separated, they're still connected. This is a bit different to twin psychic powers, really, but it's sort of similar in that, there's connected atoms And however far they're separated, they're still in the same place, really. So you're in the same place as me, and I'm in the same place as you, which is in despair. All the things that are happening lately in the world. Oh my goodness, who knows what's going on? It's very quiet up in here in Edinburgh, but I've heard the rest of the country and the rest of the world is all over the place at the moment. What is it like? Oh my goodness. So if you're up in Edinburgh, nice and calm, come and see a show and eat some food. Burrito and shake is where I am for this one. And they've got nice burritos and shakes and also pizzas that go through. So I can't eat pizzas, not the sort they've got, because I'm gluten-free and it's like gluten-free but not celiac. You see, this gets complicated because I get like a numb tongue and numb fingers if I eat an amount of gluten, but I can get away with a tiny weeny bit, so I'm not gonna die or anything, I don't think, but I might be like I can't feel anything and I can't really talk anymore, which isn't the greatest thing in the world. So I couldn't eat a pizza, but if a speck of pizza fell into some burrito, I probably would be fine. Yeah, we got it there. So so you've got so people go, are you a celiac? And it's easy to just go yes, because otherwise questions are asked and you get all complicated, and they go, you're not really. It's like, well, I've got one of the genes. And they're like, how do you know that? It's like, never mind. It's like, I've got one of the coriander genes to make coriander taste soapy, but not the other one. So soapy coriander is nice. I like it, even though it is soapy. And I've got no bitter gene. Nothing's bitter, apparently, but it is. I know what bitter is, and there's two bitter. So it's like, well, obviously food is bland for you. It's like, no, I know what bitterness tastes like. Believe me, I deeply know what bitterness tastes like, but sometimes you like a bit of bitter. Bitter is good. I appreciate bitter. Bitter is something that I've got no qualms about, and just as well, really, considering everything, really. But I've still got one person. I don't know whether it's Joe or somebody else, because two people came and then one person came. So I've got to contact the person I had and make sure everything's going. Oh, and I've got messages from all around the world. I've got just a message from Australia. I've just checked. So it's like, let's do the messages for today. Vicky de Lacey, who is actually Crystal from Brian and Crystal. So if you go online to the Digital Free Fringe, there's a Pear-Shaped in Dystopia, which is Brian and Crystal and other acts. And I'm one of the acts, so you can go and see me doing other things. I did my first live show with other people that was comedy on somebody else's bill 2 days ago. See, I said it's my first live gig. I said it's my first gig with other people since before lockdown. Now, technically, as I say, I've done other gigs that have been online with other people, and I've done other gigs that have been poetry or spoken word with other people. And I've done live gigs, and I've done lots of gigs that are just me. So I've done stuff in the last 5 or 6 years, but it was the first actually doing a spot with an audience and other acts in a comedy setting for a reason. So yeah, it's little codicils, and it's definitely the first one I've done in Edinburgh for the last 5 years as a spot. Did I do? Yeah, I don't think I've done any spots for anyone else, because when I've come up to Edinburgh before, I've been very lazy. I can't even talk anymore. Have I eaten gluten by mistake? Very probably. Actually, it's mostly tangerine and coffee. That's what you live on when you're me and when you're up in Edinburgh. Tangerine and coffee, and sometimes a bit of pesto and some gluten-free pasta and tomatoes, little baby tomatoes. That is what you do. So this is how you get through the day. And also, there's free water to be had, but fizzy water. So if you like fizzy water, you can get hold of that. If you like normal water for normal people, not so much. Yeah, there's an awful lot of stuff online about Americans going to Europe, of which Edinburgh is still part of Europe. Even though we're not in the EU, it is Europe still. And saying we can't find water anywhere. Well, that's a lie, because there's also a big scanny thing saying there is actually places all over Edinburgh where you can fill a water bottle. But I have got a water bottle. It's an old water bottle. I filled it with tap water, and it's a bit, that's the trouble. If you're not bringing your own reusable one, they're a little bit fragile. like, See, this is the trouble. They should say, hey, it's a free bottle with that. You know how Nutella used to have little glasses? You had a glass that you could reuse after you've eaten all the Nutella. And now they've just got jars that you have to get rid of, which is not as good. Or plastic ones, which is not as good. You need your glass, you need your reusable things. So they should make all things should have reusable containers that you can just wash them out and fill them up again. So instead, and you can use them for anything. You can use them for the thing or just return them like milk bottles used to be, and just get another milk bottle. Or there should be a lot more places. And also pop bottles. You used to get 5p back from pop bottles when they were big glass pop bottles. And that I appreciated that, getting my 5p back. And that was when they were about 25p for a bottle. So that's quite a good comeback, really. So 5p of that was glass bottle. Why do people not do that anymore? It's like, all this plastic. That's why you've got rubbish plastic that you have to get rid of. And maybe this will decompose, deacon blue. This will decompose and everything, but it's not really. It's not even single use. It's rubbish single use. It's just like, well, it's like when you're drinking it, it's just goes down. It just hopeless. So I'm not sure if that is even. I'm sure it's plastic, but it's rubbish plastic. So this is the reason why we needed a guest, because otherwise you get this nonsense and talking about stuff. See, I've driven away the one other person I had, 2 people, and then back to 1. This is my own doings. Yeah. So I've got a thing about Vincent van Gogh, Find Yourself, with Walter de Forest tomorrow, and I put it on TikTok in order, just the forbidden place, in order to download it and then get rid of the watermark and then rejig it and make sure that it was the right size and then put it on TikTok, because I can't get my phone with Bluetooth or any sort of lead. The leads, nothing's working. The leads aren't working. The Bluetooth's not working. The internet's not working. Everything's not working. I tried to do this the other day with the guest that I had to meet him in the end, Kevin Groves. I put it up. You can see that interview. I had to go and meet him in a cemetery, and it was very windy. So we couldn't do it live at all that day. So I'm having to fudge this together with, as I say, blue tack that I don't even have. So how can I even do that when I haven't got the things? And my lights disappeared. Everything's disappeared. I've already told you these woes, a litany of woes. And I told you about, might not have told you, but the first day that I was here, I was on Cowgate and a truck hit me there, like the back of it, quite gently. But then I reached out to go, hey, you. And then I've got bruises everywhere from being hit twice by a truck. But I am still alive, and this is it. I'm a survivor like a cockroach. Oh, talking of which, one of my Edinburgh flatmates has got an allergy, and they found it was a rare allergy, and they're quite a young person, but they had cochineal by mistake in something, red food colouring, the availability of which is still everywhere. I think it's still in things like Takis. I've got a friend who's got a child called Takis, which is a Greek name. And he is haunted by Takis because it's spelt the same way. But Takis is nothing's working. Yes, Scotland. I don't know whether it's Scotland to blame, as just my lack of organisational skills. Because I'm also teching for a show, and it's ostensibly me just pressing a button, and everything goes from there. I'm doing a little bit of I'm helping them dress before their show for the costume, and letting them know when their cue is on, and getting the audience in, and then pushing a few buttons, and that's all my job is. And it's gone wrong every night for some reason or other. Yesterday, I found that you remember last year, I was doing a Wednesday What Is It You Want show, where I would do just generally, not the interview show, but hey, I'm going to do something even though I'm not in Edinburgh. And then I didn't go to Edinburgh. But I set up an alarm for that to let me know that I was going to do a show on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock, which is unexpected for me. And I forgot to unset the alarm. And I accidentally brought the device with the alarm on it into this venue, even though there was no phone signal. the blooming alarm that I've got no use for and never really did went off because I've not got around to actually unsetting it. So every Wednesday at 7:30, it goes off, and I'm like, this is an atmospheric show, and this is on me. Incompetence personified. It's like, if you want a picture of incompetence, it's me. But I'm also very competent and capable in many ways. Like, I'm more powerful than you think, and everyone thinks I'm an idiot. And that's because I do demonstrate quite a lot of the time that they're probably right. And they've got no reason to think otherwise. They've got no reason to think, well, there's competence for you. Because even though it's there deep inside me, hidden, like a little tiny, like a butterfly in the inside of a caterpillar. Because what caterpillar, don't know whether you know this, probably, it's quite common knowledge, but how caterpillars turn into butterflies is they whip themselves into a little cocoon, and then they dissolve into a big mush. Presumably part of them is still there, and that, I mean, there must be the essence of a butterfly there somewhere. It's a soup. They're a butterfly soup, and the butterfly soup comes together very much like the universe and the Big Bang comes together inside the cocoon, and then re-emerges as a beautiful butterfly that can do very little except procreate and lay eggs. Some of them have got proboscises or antennae. They've got tongue things, so they can do they can sip some nectar and get, but they don't have much going on really. They're just beautiful and they reproduce. Now, I don't have that going on either, but any of that stuff, but maybe I am butterfly soup, and at some point when we all dissolve into nothing, which is the inevitability of life, we will dissolve into nothing. Maybe out of that there is essence of something. That's quite positive, really, in a way, that you've got a whole graveyard full of butterflies. All that stuff, all those butterfly soups that will emerge into something else. You know, maybe all the insects coming out of them is actually bits of them. So you re-emerge as hundreds of different insects, even the cochineal that my flatmate's allergic to, and it's very bad. Now, the thing about that is most British things, it's banned in the EU, even though we're not in the EU. So this is why you don't want really American things coming over, because people may not survive this. The Beatles, the people didn't survive the Beatles, did they? No, so if it's in things, then that's bad. And also, they don't drink coffee. And there's a connection with that, because if you've developed some sort of bug allergy or cockroach allergy, then you will also be allergic to coffee, because ground coffee very much contains, especially if you're an American, in which you're allowed to have a certain proportion of insects per ounce or whatever. You can have a lot of insects. There's, you know, I know everyone says, oh, British food's terrible. It's like, well, at least it doesn't have quite as many bugs. Probably a few. Not allowed as many bugs. And you definitely don't deliberately put bugs in things where you have no reason to expect bugs. All the red velvet cake and the Takis and Cheetos probably, and the bright red Tango. Do you have Tango, or you have do you have the other one, the Fanta? So you don't have Tango, do you? You have Fanta, bright red Fanta. And you're like, come over here, you Americans, and go, what? It's yellow over here. It's not yellow. That's the color that oranges go when you get juice out of them. Bright orange is not the color of orange juice. I think you might, you know, unless you've done something to physically make it look like that, it's a yellowy orange, not a reddy orange. There's a difference. It's not found in nature. Like, for instance, this is an orange. It is a very bright neon orange. If you are eating something this color, there might be something wrong. Even red Leicester has got curcumin, I think, but that's more yellowy orange. This is very bright. Although Scottish cheddar tends to be more orange. That's the difference between, I mean, you can get other cheddar. Now, cheddar's technically supposed to only be from cheddar, because it's because we're not in the EU, we haven't really got the justification of like we're protected by EU protection status anymore. I think Melton Mowbray pies have got the same thing, but now we're not in the EU, so you can put all the bugs you want and go from anywhere and still call it things. Like you can't call champagne champagne unless you're from the Champagne region, but cheddar, I think you can just about, because it's also a process. You can get away with cheddaring any sort of milk product, making a cheese that is a cheddar-like thing. Now, Scottish cheddar is very good cheddar. 100% bug-free, Joe. Yes, that's good. I wouldn't put, apparently quite a lot of the world's population have got worms. So, so I wouldn't put that label on, because you might be flouting some sort of 100% bug-free, but are you? We are a lot of other things that aren't just humans, is unfortunately. See, this is where this goes when I don't have guests. This is where the tail goes. What tail? Who? The tail wags the dog. The dog wags the tail. Who knows? Yeah, but this is generally about becoming a butterfly, identity, being everywhere. All goes back to me saying that I am a survivor, very much like a cockroach, very much like a bug. So it all ties up in the end. So that's all. That might be a sign that I'm not as incompetent as possible, because it's a callback. And that's what you need to do. It's a storytelling callback. I've told you a wonderful tale with all sorts of threads, and like Billy Connolly. I'm not saying I'm Billy Connolly. Clearly not Billy Connolly, but he used to do that, and everyone used to say, what a genius. And yet I do it, and people say, random, what the hell? You have to be the right sort of person. You have to be having people going with you, really. But yes, very much like a cockroach, I will survive. Gloria Gaynor was not a cockroach. She was a strong person, a good woman, and had a song about surviving that has gone a little bit cheesy over the years. Not her fault. It's still a strong song. But she was not a cockroach. But I sort of am in a lot of ways. A cockroach, to quote. I'm sure this has gone somewhere before. I feel like I've said this before. I feel like I've been down this road before, and I almost inevitably have, because the loops come looping back, and it's all like Groundhog Day, and I feel myself thinking, I've talked to you this before, but there's only a finite amount of things going on in the world, and most people end up talking about the same things, and I am no exception to that. So even though I do not like repeating myself, I almost inevitably will, because that is just it. And also, really, stand-up comedy, you do a little routine, and you do the little routine, and you perfect the little routine, and then you go on TV with the little routine, all being well, and then you've gutted that little routine, and you can't do that little routine again on telly, but you might keep doing it. People go, oh, do that one. Do that routine. I like that routine. Yeah, that's my routine. And it was probably not hilarious at the start, but everyone joins in and has a lovely time repeating the thing that they knew was inevitability, and never, that was coming again. Eventually, like a train on a track that loops for infinity. They don't do that. Usually they stop and then start again, and it's not the same train. It's never the same train. Like a river, never the same river. I think sometimes it's the same train. Otherwise, you get through a lot of trains if it was a different one every time. Anyway, that's me. I will try very, 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 very hard to make the show tomorrow be there, and I don't have to be there, and it will be there available at 11 o'clock, come what may, and that will be me talking to Walter about the Van Gogh show. Van Gogh, of which you'll say, well, but there'll be a lot of that. That's mostly, half an hour of us saying, how do you say Van Gogh? Yeah, Van Gogh. Anyway, that's the main thing. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for indulging me. Sorry, and normal service will return tomorrow. I might not be able to do the Sunday show that I normally do, and I'm just messing about. So maybe this will be a little sort of a sweetener, a different time of day, a different thing when I've And it's going to happen again when I fail to get the guest or messed up really badly, which is a mixture of the two. Yeah. So I will see you inevitably soon when all of us are different butterflies. And if we don't remember it, then continuity in that. All right. See you very soon. Bye-bye. I'm still here. That's because I've lost my cursor and bye.